Hey, good people, this is your NI Dom back with another YouTube reflection. And this is a personal journal for contemplative people looking to think, grow, and have impact in the world. So, hey, this is a video or audio response to some content that I took in on YouTube around leadership. And the content generator was the INTJ academic, the person that I have affectionately named the INTJ academic, and it's a really good piece. I'm not here to summarize that piece. You will need to listen to it for yourself. It's a good use of time. But I am going to paraphrase as much as I need to in order to give a response. So definitely check out the original video if you want the actual content, because I'm not here to regurgitate that. I am here to respond to it. And in me responding to it, I am going to do some paraphrasing and hopefully maintain the integrity of what he's offered. But it's up to you to really go and make sure you get his content directly from him. If you are new to my project, I have two YouTube channels. Dang it. If you're new to this project or me, I have two podcasts. My second podcast is a personal journal where I process out loud in about a 60-minute fashion. And but I've taken to YouTube as a way to respond to YouTube content, as a way to provide a more focused reflection, and to just have a way of connecting with other people. But if you want to know more about me or this project, feel free to go to my website at yournidom.wordpress.com. I'm an INTJ8, by the way. I'm in those two systems. So, and this project is unedited and it's unscripted, so you'll know that. I usually have this standard set of disclaimers that I give, and I just didn't do that. But it is important for you, if you're new to me, that you know I'm an INTJ8, and this project is unedited and is unscripted. Okay, so I just want to take a second to try to paraphrase what he offered. I think his content was about 12 minutes long. I want to take a couple of minutes to paraphrase it. And then there were a couple of responses that I had. In short, I would basically say that he's talking about leadership, and he's talking about what makes a leader. And I think he called that the input model. What makes the leader? And then what makes a leader, and then what a leader does. So what makes a leader, and then how does the leader act out his or her leadership? And that's the output model. So the input model is what makes a leader, and the output model is what is a leadership, what is the leader style, like what does the leader do? And it's interesting because as a person, when I do my disclaimers, one of the things I say is I'm a trained and practicing educator and social scientist of about 30 years. Half of that time has been in leadership. I go through a set of disclaimers. I say I'm an INTJ8, I'm an African-American woman, I am from a lower socioeconomic background. So I have these identities that I share in the project so people will understand, number one, why I'm not going to show up like a standard or your stereotypical INTJ, which is usually looked at through the lens of white men. But, okay. But in all of those identities, I don't say I am a leader. And I have spent this last season, I just ended season 4. I'll be starting season 5 in a few days. I ended season 4 at the end of June. I'll be starting season 5 in August. In season 4, really had to spend some time thinking about who I am, I guess, as a leader or in leadership. And that's one of the things I want to respond to. I have had to spend time thinking about who I am as a leader, if I can even say that, and why. Why am I doing leadership? Why have I spent half of my career in leadership? So I've spent a lot of time processing that question in season 4, particularly in the first half of season 4. Um, but now, as I think about moving forward, and I'm in the second half of life, and I've spent time talking about that. I'm really thinking about leadership in terms of what it gives me and what it doesn't, what it gives me and what it takes from me, and asking some really important questions about, is this what you want to do? Why do you want to do it? How do you want to do it? And that's probably why his video title, Types of Leaders, struck me. And interestingly, I hit the play button and I didn't know it was him. And so when his face popped up, I looked at it like, oh, maybe I hit the wrong, I was like, oh, maybe I hit the wrong video. And I was like, nope, that's him. And so I was pretty surprised that he did content on leadership. I was really surprised by that. But anyway, I stuck at it. I stuck with it, and like, okay, well, I know that he is really into personality theory. I'll be curious to see if he intertwines that, and he didn't. Not in part 1. He says there's going to be a part 2, but he didn't do it in part 1. So anyway, so I just think this idea of what makes a leader and what does the leader do? I think that that's personal for me and something that I've been actually processing, not in that framing, but I have been processing it. So just wanted to offer that. I want to talk a little bit about the thing about me as it relates to what makes a leader, okay? He talks about there being a leader's born, a leader's made, and a leader, I want to say a situational leader, although he does talk about a situational leadership style. I want to say there's a situational leader, okay? So you have a leader that's born, then you have a leader that's made, and I think based on what he's saying that there are some leaders that are neither born or made, they just have particular traits that other people are drawn to, and then they are situationally positioned as a leader. Of course, the INTJ academic did not say it that way. That's just, but that's how I'm paraphrasing it. And I think I fall into that third category. If you would have asked me 10 years ago, I would have said, I'm a leader that's born. Hands down, I wouldn't have thought about it. But as I have been rethinking leadership, who I am, who am I as a leader? Why am I doing leadership? What type of commitment is it requiring of me? Do I want to make that type of commitment in the second half of life? I've asked that. I don't know if I am truly a born leader. But this is what I will say. I have been born. I do have born traits. I have hardwired natural traits that make me conducive for leadership, if that makes sense. So I have some traits that I absolutely were born with, or I absolutely was born with, rather. It's not like I walked around in the world like I'm a leader, I'm a born leader, I'm a made leader. But I know for a fact I have these traits. And what happens is that these traits become problematic for me if I'm not in leadership. That's kind of the lesson I learned in the first half of season 4 as I was doing those reflections about the job. That if I'm not in leadership position, those natural inborn traits that I have become a problem. And so I have to position myself where those traits are going to be allowed. They're going to be allowed situationally in leadership. Therefore, that's what I've done. I wonder what he would think about that, me saying that. The other response that I have about the second part of his content was about what does the leader do, or how does a leader enact his leadership or her leadership? I'm going to just use the male pronoun if you don't mind. How does the leader enact his leadership? And he talked about transactional, transformational, and then he said situational. That's where he used situational. And it's funny that I would love to say again, I have a situational style of leadership. And maybe a case could be made that I'm a situational leader, a situationally styled leader, if you will. But if I'm honest, as I was listening to him kind of describe all three of those, I'm like, I'm probably a transformational leader. And it made me think about when I was not in a leadership position, I was accused, and I've probably been accused of this a couple of times, but one time my coworker, this accusation was so pronounced. I mean, I feel like she was she was about to blow a lid because of this thing that I was doing that was really bothering her. And she said I was making the job more than what it really needed to be. She's like, it's just a job. She said, you act like it's your life's work. And my response was, it is my life's work. And so the INTJ academic made a comment about, I think he said he worked in a job where it was just transactional for him. He was coming here to do a job and then he wanted to leave. He didn't really care about the sum total impact of the job, of the organization's production. And it made me curious how an INTJ could just be transactional. Like it made me curious about that because on some level, I guess I can see an INTJ saying, listen, I'm not here for all the drama. You hired me to do a job. I just want to do it. I want to get gone. There have been times when I've done that, but I have not been in a job where I'm using all of my talents and my traits. But in a job where I'm using all of my talents and my traits, I am not just interested in that moment. I'm interested in the effectiveness and doing a really good job. And that includes now me understanding production and performance at the organizational level, which would, in my opinion, makes it all transformational. And so to clarify, I have been transactional in jobs where I was overqualified. So if I have a set of skills, I have 10 skills, and I took a job that only needed 2 of my skills, that's all you're getting from me is a transaction. But in a job that's using all 10 of those skills, I'm not just transactional. I'm invested and curious and concerned about the total organizational and structure. And I don't know if that's because my training in leadership is at the organizational level, which is something I was curious about. I wonder if that's going to come up next week because I have an organizational training. That's what two or three of my degrees are focused on. All right, I want to just bring closure because I only have 15 minutes. Hold on. I want to close by just saying that I actually believe I'm transformational, even though I realize as an INTJ that is taxing for me. That's something that came to me as I was listening to the content. And maybe that's why I struggle when I'm in leadership. I don't struggle in doing the leadership. I struggle with the rest of other parts of my life because I am so transformational that it takes a lot of energy for me to get everybody on board emotionally, because I'm not just asking people to bring their hard skills to the job. I am the kind of leader that gets people emotionally invested so that we can do a good job. Although I'm very good at that, it's draining. It takes so much from me that when I come home, I have no energy left for me to take care of some of the things in the world, in my physical life. And so I just wanted to say all of that in terms of response to his leadership. I have so much more to offer, but I got to bring closure to this project. If you want to know more about me, please go to my website at yournidom.wordpress.com. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.